Welcome to another edition of Chaotic Kitchen with me, Melissa Lee, aka Answer It's Melissa. Today we're going to be making chicken shawarma, and we're going to be using a little hack of using a bread pan for that, and we're going to be doing a vegetarian option as well with lion's mane mushroom. So I am starting off with a base for the meat and the mushroom, which is plain yogurt, not Greek yogurt. Going to be using garlic, 2 sticks of butter, y'all, the Pauladine way, and of course salt and pepper, because this is a gold standard. We're also going to be adding regular paprika, though after tasting this I probably would have liked a little bit of smoked in there, garlic powder and onion powder. And even though we're using an ungodly amount of fresh garlic, we're going to be using garlic powder always. So we need the butter to be softened. I'm going to be putting that in the microwave and cutting up those pieces so that way it melts evenly. Like I said, an ungodly amount of garlic. So we're going to be doing so many cloves, and you can use a hack of just sticking it in a mason jar with a lid and shaking the shit out of it, but I don't know, I'm meticulous. I like to peel each one by hand, creating way too much busy work, but I personally enjoy it, and I just do that by twisting and kind of maneuvering the garlic back and forth to peel all of the skin. Like I said, it's time consuming, but I don't really want to shake it. I don't know, sometimes I just do things the hard way because that's the ADHD way, babe. The thing is, we're going to be having so much garlic in the base, and we're also going to be making a garlic and parsley like yogurt sort of dip, which is going to require several cloves of garlic as well. I personally do not like the pre-peeled garlic. It's not as fresh, it's not as strong as a flavor, and you know me, I like it just seeping from my damn pores. So we've taken the butter out, and it's probably a little bit more liquid than I would like, but really, again, I'm always making mistakes. It doesn't fucking matter. And then now we're going to mince all of this garlic, which again is time consuming. But I don't like using a garlic mincer, the tool where you stick it in and you squish it out. I feel like it wastes a lot of garlic that way. I like to use the whole garlic. And not only that, it's to me a useless kitchen item. It's just not something that I personally need. I have no problem mincing it, even though, as we know before, my chopping skills are not the best. So it's something you want to be very careful about. And you could always use gloves, but I don't fuck with that. At least the cutting gloves. I'm going to be using regular kitchen gloves in a minute when I'm handling the raw meat. Because your girl likes meat, but I don't like it raw. Okay. Now, as it calls for, this recipe calls for like a tablespoon. It's going to be about 3 or 4 here. And I eyeball it. I eyeball everything. I just think, again, there's no point in wasting and using measuring spoons unless it's something like baking, which is very precise and meticulous. I'm adding salt and pepper, and I'm going to be mixing all of this up. And we want a consistency sort of like a paste almost, because we're going to want to coat every piece of this chicken and also every piece of this lion's mane. I'm making one large batch, and then I will take some to the side for the lion's mane. We're adding the yogurt because that's a good thing to use as well as a sort of base for this sauce, the seasoning. Sometimes you can use mayo, you can use oil, whatever the case may be. Specifically, I'm following this recipe, which I will link, that I'm using as a guide, not as the gold standard, because again, I'm doing it my way. And we're mixing that all together, and then we're adding a bunch of chopped up parsley. And I'm being really thorough here when I'm mixing it up, because I have in the past mixed up seasonings like this as a base, and I haven't mixed it as well, and some things taste better than others. Again, I'm adding a shit ton of lemon into the yogurt dip we're going to be making later, so I wanted to conserve the lemons that I purchased, and I'm just using this lemon juice. I prefer this brand. Santa Cruz brand is great. It keeps in the fridge, and I like to stock the kitchen with things that I use a lot in case I make a mistake or I need extra. Again, we're going to taste test it, make sure it tastes good enough, and past good enough, even fucking better. So I tasted it and I realized I love a very lemony flavor. I could barely taste the lemon following the specific recipe. And so for my personal use in this kitchen, I added a lot more lemon. And also I needed the consistency to be a little bit thicker. So here I am, I'm spreading on each piece of chicken. And for me personally, I really don't like cooking with chicken breast. This is what the recipe called for. So I did it. And I also find it hard to get the pieces even with a chicken breast, because it tends to dry out very quickly. It doesn't lend itself to having uneven pieces like, let's say, chicken thigh. So I personally bought the chicken cutlets that are kind of pounded out or smaller, and they tend to be more evenly shaped, takes the guesswork out of trying to beat the shit out of it yourself. But I also do prefer using the kitchen as a way to get out a lot of my aggression. So if you're feeling really fucking angry, get your own fucking chicken and beat the shit out of it. Get some of the aggression out. Hugging you, beat the shit out of some chicken. Husband not doing what he needs to be doing, beat the shit out of the chicken. Somebody cut you off or your coworker is just plain useless, beat the shit out of the chicken. Out of the chicken and not the people. That'll save you some, 9 to 5 or 5 to 10 in jail. Anyways, I'm really coating this bad boy, and you want to top this chicken as high as you can. And of course, I forgot to add Parmesan because I forget all the time. It is what it is, but you just mix it on the fly. I'm adding some because you can't see, but I actually have 2 things of chicken. They didn't all fit in the muffin tin, so I reserved some. Then now here I am with the stuff that I put aside before. Of course, I added the chicken for the vegetarian version, which is the lion's mane mushroom. I've thoroughly washed the mushroom. I'm breaking it up into bite-sized pieces, and I had added oil because, again, this is not chicken. This isn't anything that has any fat in it, because it's just a mushroom. The only fat is from, of course, the butter, but I needed the consistency to be a little bit more, and I wanted to get a good fry, a good sear, so I added a little bit more oil because I really just can't add any more freaking lemon. Save my life, and water just won't cut it. For me personally, if you are trying to cut out your fat, this recipe honestly may not be for you, but you can substitute things, especially when you're cooking vegetables, like some water. Now we're making our yogurt dip, which is going to be equal parts of the plain yogurt, not Greek, and mayo. Again, don't skimp on your mayo. If you like a certain type of mayo, fine. Me personally, I prefer this brand, Best Foods or Hellman's, depending on where you live. I've made this so many times, I just eyeball it. This is from one of my favorite creators. I will tag them as well. And then we're adding a ton of parsley, okay? I will include quantities of all of this, but again, I find if you just mix and do some taste tests, see how you like it, that's the best thing. So here I am mixing, but honestly, this container is too damn small, so you'll see in a second, I'm going to be switching this bitch out for a bowl to let it stir better. We're going to be grating at least the zest of 1 lemon, although I would prefer 2, because again, I love lemon. Oh my god, so good. Lemon and garlic, you just can't beat it. So also, when you grate it and you get the zest of the lime, it's a lot easier to get the juice out. So here I am grating it. Of course, I've washed these lemons because, man, Listeria and E. coli is fucking everywhere. I don't know what they're doing to our food. I'm not happy about it. I'm also in charge of other people's meals, and I'll be damned if they run into the fucking toilet, okay? Because I would just not be happy about that. Not in my kitchen, baby. So we're going to make sure we're not cross-contaminating stuff. We're going to make sure we wash our produce even if it says it's been pre-washed, because we don't trust anybody for that shit. So here I am adding it to a different bowl, and we are also going to grate garlic. I personally really prefer to do that, even if it says to mince it. You saw that I minced earlier, but that would just take too long to grate. For this specifically, I want that garlic to be everywhere, and it is fresh. And I'm going to be probably adding garlic powder in a little bit to this, but for the fresh garlic, you're going to want to grate it. This is a little bit different tool than I use for the lemon zest. I just didn't want to mix the two in case I needed to add more lemon to something later that didn't need garlic. Okay, so here I'm just grating the shit out of a bunch of garlic. I had a ton of salt and pepper. Honestly, a ton of pepper, not too much salt. We want to be careful with that. And then also another tip to get your lemons out is cut the ends and then roll it. Assuming you have one of these tools, I prefer these tools. You get way more bang for your buck, and I use it a lot. This is not a necessity. You can just use your hands if you stab a little bit of the lemon to break it up. Just be careful, of course. So I'm going to be adding some more parsley because this calls for a lot. You can also add in fresh dill if you want. I choose to just top the plate itself with fresh dill. So here I am testing and adding a bit more mayo. So even though it's equal parts mayo and yogurt, I tend to find that I add a little bit more of the mayo just for flavor reasonings. Here I am chopping, adding a lot more, and I did add dill. See, half the time I do shit, I don't even know if I can do it, but it's fine. This is why we record it. We go over this for the chaotic kitchen babes. Adding, of course, garlic powder, making sure we're really, really mixing it well. I have made the mistake of thinking I mixed it and half the stuff is on the bottom and did not taste well. Now we're gonna, while the chicken is still cooking, we are gonna be working on the vegetarian version. You can always skip this part if you choose to, but we're gonna want a really good sear on this, and I'm smushing it down. The thing about this mushroom is it doesn't expel a shit ton of water like, let's say, a cremini mushroom, which is good because we really don't need all that extra moisture. And really, like I said, getting that really good sear on there. I want to kind of mimic the meat. Mimic that meat because, listen, vegetarians love telling you it tastes just like meat. I don't miss it. I think the problem is some of that has gone to their head. They're really deluding themselves. And you know what? It's good to be a little delulu. Be a little delulu and let yourself believe it tastes as good as meat. Does it taste great? Of course it did. I fucking made it. But you just can't substitute chicken. Really, you just can't. My opinion, of course. I don't need all those fucking vegans coming after me. But lion's mane is such a great option. You can also shred it. King mushroom is a good option. This is also really good if you're avoiding things like tofu and you want to limit your soy intake. You use some damn mushroom, okay? But you're going to want to find a substitute for the protein that you have lost by not using, let's say, a tofu or a meat option. Checking on the chicken, we're going to make sure that bitch reaches the proper internal temperature. Babes, that's 165, okay? We don't fuck around with chicken, okay? It's one thing if your meat, it's a little underdone. I'm not saying undercook it, okay? But I'm saying if it's a little underdone, okay. It went from medium well to medium, went from medium to medium rare, fine. Chicken, no. We don't do that, okay? We don't want people shitting their fucking brains out. Look how beautiful this is. Yum, yum, yum. And look at all those juices. Now, me personally, having taste tested this, was it good? Yes. However, I prefer chicken thigh. So in the future, I will probably make this with chicken thigh and I will reduce the butter a lot because you really won't need nearly as much butter when you're using chicken thigh. And to me, that meat is just a little bit more moist. God, moist. What a fucking word. You know another word I don't like? Suckle. What? Who says that? Who says that? Gross. Anyways, giving a taste test. It's good. I enjoy it. Now we're going to plate. I use romaine lettuce, cherry tomatoes, fresh dill, and fresh parsley sprinkled on top. The cut up chicken. I used cucumber, any type of olive. Again, I'm going for this Mediterranean flavor, and pepperoni. I love to sprinkle pepperoni juices all over it too, just to give it a little extra kick. I could literally eat this all day, every day of my life. You could even throw this in a wrap, in a pita if you want, whatever, in some lavash bread. There's so many different options with this. This chicken too, you can meal prep this and eat this later. You got a house full of some growing boys that need all that protein. And here I'm drizzling that dressing that we used earlier. This dressing is so friggin' good. Could drink it if I could, but that'd be fucking gross. And there you go. Enjoy. Don't forget to share, like, follow, and see you next time, guys. Bye.